Secrets. They come in all shapes and sizes and are built on a web of emotional complexities. In today's world, keeping a secret is all the more precarious. As personal revelations become fodder for the internet or sensationalized on afternoon talk shows, we risk losing touch with just how damaging exposing someone's secret can be, especially if the person is not ready to be exposed. Secrets are powerful. Whether revealed too soon or kept too long, how we deal with a secret can have tremendous consequences. What we choose to share or to keep silent about can affect, for better or worse, our health, our work, our relationships, our future. This film is about toxic secrecy, why young adults keep secrets, how it affects them psychologically, and the sociological implications.
Sometimes when you're in a crisis and you don't talk about it, or you don't tell people that you're in a crisis, or tell people that you're going through some internal emotional setbacks, then no one can help you. And when you internalize the emotional setbacks that you're going through, it can manifest in other ways and sometimes lead to suicidal behavior.
When I was dealing with depression and really felt that I was at risk for being one of the people that contemplates or possibly attempts suicide, that was definitely a time period where I was worried about and struggling in terms of who do I share this with, how much do I share, when is the right time to share, and ultimately I realized that, you know what, I can't be worrying about this. I need to get help. And if that means that I can't be worrying about who knows about the fact that I'm struggling, that who knows that I can't worry about what they're going to think of me. I can't worry about the fact that perhaps they're going to treat me differently. I just need to go out there, get help, put it out there, and not worry about anything else other than getting better and helping others that might be struggling to get better.
For me, keeping a secret, I didn't realize that it was taking a lot of my energy until the secret was out. There were certain times where I was uncomfortable with the actual secret, and there were certain times where when someone would start talking about it, I would attack, and I would be irritated and so angry, first with myself and second with them. So I would take a very radical and a very angered perspective.
Nobody really knows I'm depressed. Nobody knows that I've thought about killing myself. Nobody knows that my daily prayer from the age of 11 or 12 was, God, if you love me, don't let me wake up.
The truth will either set you free or will choke the hell out of you. It will. And I understand that. Once you get free and you know the truth about a circumstance, it's either going to set you free or it's going to choke you to the place where whatever was in you is going to have to come out.
Sometimes revealing a secret can be healing.
Telling a secret can be very healing. It really depends on the situation. I know that when I was suffering from depression, I was scared to let people I cared about know about it. And I really was hiding that for a while. And then as time went by, I decided that, I want to talk about it a little bit more. And I was worried that people would consider me sort of have pity on me or consider me a basket case. But what I found, what was really surprising, is that people were coming to me and saying, F, I've suffered too. Thank you for going public about this. This has helped me to reconcile it within myself.
Most people are not going to ask. As much as I want them to ask what's going on with me, most people aren't going to ask. They're going to say, how you doing today? You say, okay, and they're going to keep right on moving. So if I want somebody to ask and know what's going on, if I want somebody to care, much like I did, I have to create the caring.
Revealing secrets to regain our integrity involves a recognition that revealing the secret is just the beginning and a commitment to deal honestly with all of the issues that arise once the secret is made known.
Telling a secret is not automatically healing. I think that's something that I realized immediately when I decided to come out. It tears down one wall, but there's so many other walls that you have to deal with afterwards. And coming to the realization of those getting rid of the other problems that came along with the secret was a struggle afterwards. And having to deal with that was a big problem that I went through. Healing did happen afterwards, but I wasn't done healing.
For centuries, observant Catholics have used the confessional as a place to tell secrets, with the promise that they won't be revealed. The confessional becomes a safe space to begin releasing the burden and the stress that often comes with secrecy. Such telling spans a continuum from the routine to the sacred. While not intended as such, religious confession can provide a rehearsal for opening up secrets to family and loved ones.
In confession, they pushed me to say I was gay, just so they could ridicule me. I hate religion, but that is one aspect of religion in which I hate, and therefore I have to find another religion. Like, don't look at it always as bad. That is so wrong, and it's just single-minded. When you look back at it, religion has helped so many people who still sit here today and could say I'm completely gay, but I got through my hard times based on my faith, based on my religion, based on my church being there, based on the preaching being there, based on reading the Bible and understanding what is going on.
Masking. Depression is one of the leading causes of suicide. Masking one's depression and making things seem okay when they are not makes intervention next to impossible.
My mother was like, how did I miss this? You are my child. I gave birth to you. How did I miss that this is something you were thinking about? And I told her straight out, I was like, you missed it because I made you miss it.
Stigma. Stigma is an attribute that is deeply discrediting, a negative characteristic that identifies a person as tainted, not good enough. It's a social identity that we try to avoid, and that fear of stigma drives people to secrecy.
What is stigma? What does that mean? Why do we have secrets? Why does society respond in a negative way when we tell our secrets? What are we afraid of? What are they going to do to you? What's society going to do to you? What's your friends, what's your peers? What are they going to do to you if you say what you need to say?
Society places a big stigma on mental disorder, and it's such a big problem because then we decide to put the blame on the mental disorder.
Psychologically, I think that people tend to shy away from things that are painful or are unpleasant, and things like depression and mental health illnesses are, can lead people to feel uncomfortable. So instead of confronting those issues, they rather shy away from it to protect themselves.
When matters are kept private and we don't talk about it, that causes the stigma to exist.
People don't necessarily want to deal with that. They don't want to be around individuals who have those issues because there's an assumption that if you hang around someone like that, you're going to become an outcast, you're going to become a part of them.
They don't understand what that means. They don't understand what it means to have a mental illness, and they already have their, preconceived notions of what mental illness is.
Negative judgment, I feel, is the effect of just not being knowledgeable about a topic.
Socially, people don't seem to have an understanding of what it is to have a mental health issue or to have any emotional problems.
But in the African American community, it's more considered weak if you can't handle your own problems or you can't cope with whatever's going on.
Unfortunately, there's many segments of society that don't see it as a very as something that should be talked about publicly, or I think definitely among males, it seems something that's not very manly to say that you're dealing with.
You've probably heard it. You're a man, you get hurt, you don't cry. When we have the opportunity to bring it up and kind of deal with it in a healthier fashion, to actually say, well, all right, let's, we won't put a time limit on how long we're going to talk about it, but it's like, yeah, this is something I've thought about. What do you think about suicide? What do you think? Well, what do you think somebody might feel like if they were suicidal? What do you think you might do if you had a friend that was suicidal? I mean, because that happens. Even if you don't think about it yourselves, and I hope you don't, sooner or later, you will probably come across somebody that has. And it's really just about being willing to ask the question, being willing to say the word and say, let's put it on the table. If suicide is not the issue, at least we've asked about it, we checked about it, we can move it off and talk about something else. But we do need to go ahead and have the conversation.
Burdensomeness. Feeling as though you are causing stress to others often contributes to suicidality. Researchers found that suicide attempts can sometimes be distinguished by a desire to make others better off.
First time I thought about suicide, I was probably 12 years old. My parents divorced, when I was young. Separated when I was 2, divorced when I was 4. As a result of that, I did the every other weekend shuffle. One weekend with one parent, the other weekend with the other. No big deal. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of kids have done the same thing. In and of itself, it's not so bad. But it started to weigh on me in different ways. Because there was a part of me, even at that young age, that started to put in my head 2 and 2 together, saying, if I wasn't around, my father wouldn't have to worry about messing up his schedule to come pick me up from the bus. He'd go hang out with his boys and do what he has to do. My mother wouldn't have to be worried about where I was on the bus, where I was on the weekends and things like that. She'd go ahead and do what she has to do. They'd both save a bunch of money. Dad wouldn't have to pay child support. Mom wouldn't have to pay tuition. And so, the seeds are there.
Very few secrets are told once and resolved. Many secrets require telling and retelling. Secrets about our own identity, such as homosexuality, may require a new decision about openness each time you develop an important relationship. Gay, lesbian, and bisexual youth are 1.5 to 3 times more likely to report suicidal thoughts, and are 1.5 to 7 times more likely to have attempted suicide than non-gay and lesbian youth.
For me, coming out actually allowed me to understand a lot about myself, and it allowed me to communicate with people that I knew that were close to me that didn't know or may have known, but were respectful in not saying that they did. It allowed me to grow in having those people around me to speak to and to overcome different things like the depression that I felt and the frustration with myself and the bad self-image that I had. And it allowed me to move on from that, just speaking to people that I knew.
We do have to deal with those messages of God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. It's not natural.
Part of the reason that a lot of LGBTQ folks and other kinds of folks feel bad about themselves, even heterosexuals feel bad about themselves for being sexual, just for being sexual, because they kind of we cut off our religious and spiritual self from our sexual self, when actually what we're finding in our dialogue and what's true in reality is that they are integrated. And the more we can kind of integrate our experience, the healthier we feel, the less shame we carry into our lives and into our experience, and the more freedom we're able to have.
While the religion itself does encourage open discourse and does encourage discussion and debate, sometimes people are afraid that the individuals may not be quite as open as the religion idealizes.
Being intimidated into silence is a problem that goes on all the time, and I was affected by that actually. I was intimidated psychologically and religiously by several family members and several friends actually, and because of that I held on to my secret for a long time.
A person that is in a suicidal crisis, they're gonna have their own logic. It's logic that is not gonna make sense. And when you talk to them later on, when they are not suicidal, and you bring some of that stuff up, they may be able to say, yeah, I know that didn't make a whole lot of sense. But in the moment, it does.
There's little doubt that there's a cost to keeping secrets. Where fear of stigma and rejection drive us to secrecy, the resulting stress and anxiety can have a negative effect on our mental and physical well-being. It's important to seek help. From support groups to professional therapists, finding a safe place to share our secrets and to be open can be an important step in dealing with the toxic effects of secrecy.